In the name of one God, Creator, Redeemer, Sanctifier, and Friend. Amen. Please. Good morning and happy Labor Day weekend. It's awfully nice of the weather to break a bit, isn't it? It's been just a beautiful week, so I hope you've had a chance to enjoy that. So my week, of course, is always spent wondering what these parables are about. And it's odd, I said to someone after the 8 o'clock, after 33 years of reading this parable, I finally had an insight. So here's hoping. I had this important realization that in my spiritual journey, I have discovered the significance of the sacred circle. And it comes from the spirituality of the indigenous people. Tribal cultures, particularly in the central and western areas of our nation, as well as those in Central and South America, in one form or another, include the circle in their expressions of worship and community life. One moment when the significance of the circle was made clear to me was during a meeting of a committee of our General Convention called the State of the Church. This committee had representatives from across the 9 provinces of the Episcopal Church, which include Central and South American dioceses. At this meeting, I was seated next to a representative of Navajo land. We were crammed around a U-shaped table, trying to hold discussions. In a very gentle way, my colleague said to me, "When we gather as a council in our tribe, we always sit in a circle. This reminds us that the divine has no beginning and no end, and that we are part of a whole." It was a great kind of aha moment for me. How much better a circle is for our gatherings. In the book Culture and Customs of the Sioux Indians, the author writes, according to Lakota legend, and I quote, "As Scan caused the world to be made in 4s, so he caused it to be made in rounds. The sun, the moon, the earth, the sky are round. Everything in nature, save the rock, is round. Therefore, the circle was for the Sioux a sacred symbol and could indicate the universe, the sun, time, or direction, depending on its particular form and color. In a more metaphorical sense, the circle has great symbolic significance." Again, I quote, "The circle offers a proper view of life and symbolizes Sioux existence. Life is an endless circle. The sun and the moon are circles. The teepee is a circle. The human life cycle progresses from childhood to adulthood to elder status and back to childlike status again, in a circle. A circle has no beginning and no end." In today's reading from the letter to the Hebrews, we hear the memorable words, "Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever." This is one way of expressing the belief that God has no beginning and no end. That God, in a way, is a continuous circle, Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. The author goes on to remind us that it is through Jesus we continually offer a sacrifice of praise to God with the concluding admonition, "Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God." Praising God and living in right relationship form the circle of our life. In our gospel, Jesus tells a parable that seems an obvious social instruction on humility. Thanks to my friend, the indigenous person, who offered a seemingly simple observation on the shape of our gathering, I have come to understand this parable as the invitation to move into a circle, so that no one is really at the head of the table. Everyone is an honored guest, a member of the community, of the circle of life. Jesus, in this parable, is really upsetting the status quo, the social norms of his time, and if we're honest, of our time. We know that in the Middle East, it's very important about where you sit. Really important. We know that we sometimes look around a room or a banquet and we figure out, oh, there's the head table. They're the important people up there. Everybody else is sitting at little round tables. So we also kind of, if we're honest, have an inclination to understand ourselves as a bit better than the next guy, and therefore deserving of a good seat. Really, over my years of ministry, I have managed some wedding seating that would make you weep, okay? I mean, sadly, divorce is a reality, right? But then the mother of the bride has a husband who's not the father of the bride. And then the father of the bride has a wife who's not the mother of the bride. And then there's some grandmothers and lovely aunties around, and everybody's important, right? And there's only so much room in these first few pews. It's not fun, okay? So, it's part of our life. But think about this sitting in a circle idea, where all are equal in God's sight and ours. It is a challenge. Even as we sit with sort of our backs to each other, thinking of each person as a beloved child of God, as equally important as you are, is a challenge. So Jesus says, invite everybody into your circle, especially the people who, may not deserve to be there in your humble opinion. God is inviting everyone into the circle, and the parable is encouraging us to do this. I'm reminded of the definition of sin in our catechism. It's this: the seeking of our own will instead of the will of God, thus distorting our relationship with God, with other people, and with all creation. The gospel is about more than dinner parties. It is the heart of the matter about right relationships in all aspects of our lives and our relationships. And our indigenous friends teach us that as they honor in the sacred circle the sun and the moon, the bear and the lion and the various colors, all of it with significance. The circle is also a sacred symbol in Celtic cultures. The Celtic people understood the world as a circle of life as well. The most ancient art in the burial mounds discovered in Ireland has now been dated to 3,250 BCE. That is 5,000 years ago that the divine was expressed in circles. It's a profound understanding that we can regain. And as the Celtic people embraced Christianity, the sense of connectedness of all things continued to permeate their art and their prayers. We love often that jewelry that's all circles, don't we? And we see the circles in the middle of the crosses. All of this had significance and comes out of that tradition. So today I offer a prayer that is found in a book titled The Edge of Glory, Prayers in the Celtic Tradition, written by a priest who lived and ministered on the island of Lindisfarne, David Adam. Lindisfarne was the site of an ancient monastery established by St. Aidan and led by St. Cuthbert. And there are lovely legends about Cuthbert watching the otters play in the water and coming up and drying his feet. It's just great stuff. So this priest lived in that culture and embodied it for us and gives us this wonderful prayer. It's this: the sacred three be over me, with my working hands this day, with the people on my way, with the labor and the toil, with the land and with the soil, with the tools that I take, with the things that I make, with the thoughts of my mind, with the sharing with mankind, with the love of my heart, with each one who plays a part. The sacred three be over me, the blessing of the Trinity, which is often in a circle. So think about that. Think about the work of your hands this day, the work that we all do as we celebrate Labor Day, the people you will meet on your way, the land and the soil that we care for, the tools that we use to make something, the thoughts in our hearts and our minds, and how we share that with others, and how it is that God invites each one to play a part. The sacred three be over us. The blessing of the Trinity be upon us. Amen.